Ina, it's an honor to have you on the podcast. Your resume is remarkable. From being a successful musician and visual artist, serving as a UN climate ambassador, founding Code Green, a decentralized nonprofit aimed at creating positive change in crypto and NFT space for our planet. And you're the head of philanthropy at World of Women. You speak at leading Web3 NFT conferences around the world. And that's just to say a few things, but I appreciate you making the time to be here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really glad to be here.
So before we get into what you're doing now, I'd love to hear how it all began. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into Web3.
So, as a musician and a visual artist, I always try to find new mediums and push the boundaries of my art. And so, the blockchain has been something that I discovered in 2020 because my partner, who's also a visual artist, told me about NFT and the Web3 space. And so, I got really intrigued and I wanted to understand all about it. And so it was so fascinating that I became really obsessed with it. And because I have been an activist for the past, let's say, 16 years plus, I came in the space as an artist, but I really put my builder shoes on because that's something that it's really part of who I am. And I mean, in real life, I've been uh, advocating for women and girls' rights and also for the climate. And so I wanted to do something about that. So it kind of intertwined, and we created Code Green. And World of Women was our first partner in the space. And so we took on the strategy of the philanthropy and the sustainability of the brand.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you were quite early because when did you say you got into Web3?
In 2020.
2020, yeah. And that's right when, all those original kind of profile picture projects launched. You had the Bored Ape Yacht Club, you had World of Women, Cool Cats, all of those kind of launched around the same time. Um, and
Yeah,
then
they
to
actually launched in 2021.
oh,
So
okay,
I
oh
saw
right,
them arriving, and it was fun to watch. I minted World of Women, and my husband he was the one who was leading me and guiding me a little bit in this, and so he was listening in a lot of clubhouse spaces, and so we educated ourselves like that.
yeah, that's amazing. Right, 2021. Yeah, time in crypto flies, and I lose track of my years. COVID didn't help the year tracking thing either.
No,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, that's neat. So you were there minting World of Women. I was about a month late, and that's when World of Women was one of if not the first NFT I actually purchased, and I was in the clubhouse spaces, much like you, or clubhouse rooms. Spaces comes from Twitter,
Yes.
and yeah, no, it was I was just learning just by listening, and then I'd love to hear just you speak to, there's a lot you can understand by reading, by listening, but it's another thing to actually like experience the technology and to, to go through the process of minting an NFT. So how
Yes.
important is that to actually understanding the space?
I think it's the most important thing. It's to educate yourself and understand the space because mistakes cost so much right now because we are very early. So the basics, it's like what is a wallet? How do you create your wallet? How do you mint? How do you get cryptocurrencies? What is a blockchain? Which blockchain are you going to be working or minting from, and really understand the basic of it. Unfortunately, it's not super user friendly for now for people who have no idea what a blockchain is or what NFTs are or what Web3 is. So I think that now there is a lot of education and information out there. A lot of projects have created like basic things that people can learn from. And that's something that we do a lot at Code Green and World of Women is education. And so I think that for people coming in the space, it's important to observe and learn before doing anything.
Mm. Yeah, that's really good advice. And yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. There is this um, accessibility kind of higher barrier to entry and steeper learning curve than a lot of things that we use on a day to day basis. But it is getting better, and I think we can both agree that it has improved a lot over the last couple of years.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is much better than 2020 was. It was not that easy. I felt like I needed to have a science degree or a tech degree to understand, but I think that there are more and more tools now that have made it easier for people to not only participate as community members, but also create their own project without coding. And
Mm,
so there have been amazing tools. And like you said, it's such a fast space that I look back to 2020, we've come such a long way. So it's pretty amazing. But it's definitely not like just creating your Instagram page or your
right.
YouTube account, but it is really worth it because I feel that this is the new internet. This is what the future is about. So what we're building right now is really important, but I think that for the in the next 5 years, things will completely shift.
So we can now deploy smart contracts without actually having a Solidity developer or having that skill set. What are some of your favorite tools for learning about the space, for actually being a builder in this space?
So as an artist, and I'm absolutely not a dev, and I have zero education and knowledge about coding. So everything that Manifold have been doing in the past 2 years have been amazing, and it helps support artists and people who have no knowledge about coding, which I absolutely don't, and to make it easier to mint your project, to share it, and it gives tool to people who are creative but don't have the tech side of things. And now we can see with the different you know platforms that are creating smart contracts that you can deploy yourself, which was something very complicated a year ago. Like you needed to have someone creating a smart contract for your project, or for you as an artist, you needed to have a platform. But now it's becoming a space where people will be more and more independent and will be able to do things themselves. So the barrier is being more thin. And so hopefully creative will be able to unleash more of what they are doing, and also have more people coming in.
Absolutely. How do you see blockchain tech NFTs helping to create new economic opportunities, especially for those people in underserved communities and maybe some of those developing nations?
I think it is so important to bring everybody to the table and include everyone, that no one is left behind. So bringing access to underserved communities is super important because there are so many amazing brains that can benefit from what we are building right now. We've seen a lot of projects create value for their holders, and artists making a living with their art in the space. So crypto is something that is here to stay. And I feel like the circular economy that we are in really needs to be more open to marginalized groups. And I think that there have been so many gatekeeping in the
Mm,
real world
yeah.
that here in this space, we have the opportunity to not do that, to not recreate that same injustices, and really just keep the door open for anybody. And if you have talent, creativity, if you are on a mission, if you are an artist, if you really want to be part of it, you shouldn't have to have permission from somebody else. This is a trustless, permissionless space, and you just bring in who you are. And so I really encourage more and more people, either organizations or artists who are not in the space, to learn about it and see how they can participate, because this is going to be our future. And
Hmm.
the more early you're in, the more you learn, and you also deal with the mistakes, and move forward and learn from them.
Yeah, it is amazing how when we look at traditional art houses and how hard it is to have a piece of art, brought into those spaces. But this open marketplace, this world of Web3 and blockchain technology has anyone can have a voice. And you've seen all of these artists that no one has ever heard of then now come onto the scene, and their art is resonating with people because they're given, just anyone can join, and there's no barrier to entry in that regard. That it doesn't matter, where you come from, what you look like, what your background is. You can have a voice, and so I think that's one of the really, that was kind of the original promise of the internet, that anyone could have that voice, and that I think we're just going back to the root of that.
Yeah,
And it's truly, I think, a special time.
absolutely. They have a voice and they also have ownership, which is something that they we didn't before,
Mm,
because social media has made it possible for um, big group of people to have a voice right now, and to also use their voices in a way that can have a real impact. But there is no ownership. But with the blockchain, with the ownerships, comes something else, and that is super exciting to watch people make a living. Artists are not making a living, uh, their work is not being supported by likes. It's being supported by funds that help them in real life create more art and make a living, and um, take care of their families and
mm,
their futures. So it created an economy that was, I mean, this is the first time that as an artist I see that we have a real seat at the table, and we are leading the movement. And also so many artists thriving, even
mm,
though the space is not perfect. A lot of people don't feel seen. A lot of people feel that they're not supported enough. But at least this is the beginning of something. We have to do better, of course. But it's so early. So we are making some mistakes that hopefully we can correct, as a group, because it's really a tiny space for now. We feel when we are on Twitter, we feel like we are, it's like the whole world,
right.
but we are just a small group of people compared to, the whole world. So I feel like we can empower each other to create a great space.
Hmm.
It's not great for now. It has the potential to be great, but we have to remind ourselves of the mistakes that as human we do, and not repeat them here.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so I have a lot of hope for what is happening right now.
Um, so many regard World of Women as one of the trailblazers, if not the trailblazer, for showing how art can support a wide variety of causes. And you serve as the head of philanthropy at World of Women. So
Yes,
how
I
did
do.
how did you guys get there as a project? Um, and then what do you have planned for the future?
So I have been an activist for women and girls' rights for a long time, and also for the planet. And my work is kind of known. If you are interested into that, you kind of they knew what I was doing, and I discovered World of Women, and I was, like I said, I minted it, and I was so excited to see um, not only a woman-led project, but women-centric project. And so I slid into Yam's DM,
Hmm.
and she and her partners who funded the project knew about my work, and we told them about what we were doing with Code Green, because Code Green, we worked a whole year before launching it. So we launched it at COP26,
Hmm.
and we had started talking with the WOW team before. And the idea was for me to become the head of philanthropy, but for Code Green to delegate to Code Green all the strategy of the philanthropy and the sustainability. So Code Green is creating the strategy and implementing it. So what happened is that after the World of Women Galaxy drop, which did amazing, Wow gave they started a fund that they split between Code Green and the future Wow Foundation. So with that fund, Code Green um, decided to, in partnership with WOW, of course, with that fund, we donated to organizations that were supporting women and girls' rights, education, climate action, and everything that has to do with social, gender, and climate justice. And so what happens is that we vetted organizations and we partnered with them as Code Green. And with the funds that WOW gave us, we did a long-term partnership, a year-long partnership where we created a program with them, and we supported them financially with that fund. And so we've been able to support almost 20 organizations,
Wow.
which are really, really focused on women and girls' health, education, and rights, and also a lot of climate action. So it was something people were giving back in the space, but what we did as Code Green with World of Women was unprecedented. It was really uh, taking the philanthropy to another level. And even having a head of philanthropy, not a lot of projects have head of
Hmm.
philanthropy. It's they're giving back, and that's it. We didn't want to just donate funds. We wanted to have a partnership that supports not only by giving funds, but also bringing awareness to not just the causes, but the organizations and the people who are behind working and highlighting their work and highlighting why it was important to support them. And that
Hmm.
way, instead of just donating, you create a support and a movement. You help them while they are creating a movement. And so for us, it was a lot of work, but we really enjoyed it. And 14 months later, as Coach Green, we feel like we grew so much because our team are it's myself, my partner, who's an artist and also a climate activist, and our founder used to work at the UN for 13 years. So
Hmm.
philanthropy is something that we really have been in the world of, and we've been working and in different institutions. So for us, it was really natural to bring that in the space. And then as Code Green, we did partnerships with also the Sandbox, where we're creating a game with them that is called Play. It's called Heal, and it's kind of a play to heal. So there is the play to earn, but while you're earning, you also heal, because part of the funds are going to support climate action. And so that way you're participating in supporting that. And yeah, it has been an exciting journey.
That's really neat. Is so is the play? So I love that concept because we've all heard of play to earn, but play to heal. That's really neat. Is that sandbox game out or that that world?
Not yet. Not yet. We started working on it last summer, and we're going to be releasing it this year. So it's
Okay.
something that we on both sides we feel passionate about because the Sandbox have been a big supporter of climate, and so we want to get it right. And the market conditions were kind of crazy when
Right.
we started building the project. So we're just waiting for the right time to launch it and to finish working on it as well. It takes time to build a game, and we want to get people participate in it, but in a fun way. While they're playing and they are earning, they're creating funds that are also going to support our organization. But we want them to have fun doing
Hmm.
it. We don't want it to be like a boring reminder of, okay, the planet is suffering and you need to be
Right.
doing something. This is not the approach that we have. So that's something that takes time to find the right balance of the game and have people like really genuinely. Our goal is that at the end of the game, people feel like they are able to contribute in real life in supporting climate, and that they know they have learned more and they are more educated about it. And that's our whole goal at Code Green. We create different type of projects and partnerships that supports social and climate justice.
It's really cool to hear. And there's so many organizations. So I work at a large nonprofit and oversee Web3 there, and our goal is simply releasing children from poverty and kind of being with them from early on until they're able to be self-sustaining. Um,
That is so
and
wonderful.
it's it's really neat to hear how you are taking, well, you're building that community around your core values and what Code Green is about. But then not only are you like showing them like, here's how we are serving this mission, but like you can be an active participant in helping serve the mission, and you can come alongside us, and you're doing it in a really kind of interesting and I think relevant, practical way that so many people engage with on a day-to-day basis, which is like video games, right? And I know
Yeah,
that's just one small example, but it's just such a good reminder, for me personally. But then I think just for so many nonprofits that like there are ways to engage your audience and bring them along with your mission.
absolutely. We want people to participate, and a lot of time the barrier is that they don't know how, or they are overwhelmed with everything being so technical and complicated. And unfortunately, the nonprofit and the philanthropic world is either just ask people to support or to help, but not participate. I feel like a lot of people don't know what to do apart
Hmm.
from donating money. And what we want them to do is really being active participant and not just uh, by being community members, but having a voice. This is something that concerns us all. I mean, until we get it right for the whole society, the world is not doing well. Same for the climate. We don't have a planet B, we have just this one. So we need everybody to get on board. And to do that, we have to create a movement. And to create a movement, we have to hear people's voices and their concern and give them tools for them to participate positively and voluntarily rather than force them and or shame or blame them.
Hmm.
I think that I as a climate activist for the past 13 years, what I've been doing is using art to bring awareness. And with the Code Green team, before we launched Code Green, we actually we worked on a project called the Great Green Wall, and it's one of the most ambitious ecological project right now. It's from Senegal to Djibouti, all across the width of Africa, and it's 8,000 kilometers that is being of green that is being created.
Hmm.
And it's
Wow.
100 million hectares of degraded land that are being restored. And so it's a huge, huge, huge project. But when we started working on it, Alex, who's one of our co-founder, was heading that project at the UN. And so he contacted Marco and I, and we worked together. We created a documentary film, and I was asked by the UN to lead the advocacy. And so we with the film, we it was like a musical journey. So there was music, there was film, there was exhibitions later on. And when we started working on the project, it was really under the radar. But fast forward 5 years later, we have with that project with the UNCCD a pledge of $19 billion to
Wow.
achieve the project. So it shows how with art you can bring people in and create a movement. And by telling stories and um, reaching out to people in a different way, which was not a political way, it was really more effective. And so in this space, which is all about art, it's like we have amazing tools to reach to people and bring them in. Some people will come on in because they love the art. Some people will come on in because they love the mission. Some people will come on in because of financial gains. And all of that is okay. We just want people to come on in, and then with time, to have them be part of a solution. That's why we're launching a project called the Vampires Club, and it's a project that is supporting climate action. And because vampires are, in pop culture, are very well known, but also they are immortal beings. So we see them as the ones who are going to inherit the planet long after humankind is gone. And so they are the ones who are like, okay, these humans are clearly struggling, and we have to do something. So it's a lot of humor, but at the same time they're deadly serious because the things that they are like kind of either joking around or being sarcastic about are real danger and real problems that the planet is facing. But we don't want to say it in that way. We
Hmm.
don't want to be just like, look at the clock is, and we don't have time, this is an emergency, and you just stress out people. While these
Yeah.
vampires are just like this crazy bunch, we actually use a lot of animation and kind of meme culture for it. We want people to have fun and to relate to what they are talking about. And so that way, we bring in an unlikely audience to support climate actions, because a big part of the funds are going to be given to climate organizations and also eco entrepreneurs to support them in the work that they are doing. And
Hmm.
so that way, we become a community of, you know, activists without even knowing that they are actively doing anything. But
Yeah, that's
we're
really
also
clever.
creating a soulbound token that is a dynamic NFT that, every time that we do an action as a community, it updates. So that way people are proud to be participant in this, and seeing that what you're doing has a real impact, it empowers you to do even more, because it doesn't make it so gloomy, you know. They People have tried the gloomy and shaming way. It does not work.
Yeah.
You will not shame people into taking action. You have to inspire them. You have to empower them. You have to entertain them. And so it has been really exciting to work on that project, and it's to see it come to life and slowly build up, even in a bear market, even in a moment that Twitter engagement is kind of hectic, but still having people like coming in the project and being there. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, that's really neat, and it kind of goes to show the power of storytelling, and the importance of storytelling, because you can bring along an audience that's engaged in a story, and it actually tells a bigger story that has a bigger cause behind it.
Absolutely. And that's what happened with World of Women is a lot of people came in for the values, you know, that was women empowerment and also uh, gender justice. And in a space where there were barely projects with, women centric and supporting women, it was something that people saw, oh, I really want to be part of this because I relate to the values that are being shared. It
Hmm.
was, for many people, it was not about financial gain. It was being part of a community that have that they share the same value with.
Hmm. For someone who's or an organization that is maybe just getting into the space, how can they begin to foster some of that community and build towards driving positive change?
I think it is important for organization coming in to really lay out what they are trying to achieve and what their values are, and because it will make it easier for communities to connect with. If you know what this project is about and what exactly you're going to support, it makes it easier to get involved in. I think transparency is something that is vital. And that's the reason why I love the blockchain. And that's the reason why we decided to launch Code Green. And that's the reason why, in all of these projects, we can see everything because of the nature of the project and also the decentralized way and the decentralized nature of it. So I think be transparent, share your value, and inspire people to support what you're doing. Tell them why they should support you. And storytelling is super important. Do not do it in silence. Share everything that you're about. And you will find people that it resonates with, that will are either passionate or are want to learn about it. And that will be your core community and that will be your biggest supporters.
Hmm.
And stay true to that. Like never your community comes first. Like what you are building, you're building together, and
Yeah.
it's important to have them being part of the process as well, because a lot of us came into this space because it gives us a voice, and so it's important to remember that people have a voice and they want to use it and to listen.
Well, this has been amazing. Where can listeners find you online?
So you can find me online under the Twitter name Ina Modja, INNAMODJA, and or you can find me, with Code Green or the Vampires Club Twitter. We are also on LinkedIn and on Instagram and also on YouTube. We're basically everywhere. We try to go meet people where they are, and if you look into Wow Philanthropy, well, you can find me behind that as well.
Amazing. Is the Vampires Club live already, or is it coming?
So the collection hasn't been launched yet, but the Twitter account is definitely live and they are acting up over there. So
Okay.
we don't want to rush things. We really want to create a solid foundation for the community to rely on. So we're taking our time. We started it in November, and so it's probably this spring or
Okay.
Q1 or Q2 we're going to mint, but there's no rush. We want this as a fun experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna keep my eye on that one. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Ina. I'm really grateful for your insights and your perspectives. And just before we say goodbye, want to remind everyone, follow Ina on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of the things. Check out World of Women, Vampire Club, Code Green, and see all the cool initiatives that they are working on. Thanks, Ina.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful that you gave me a platform to share. Thank you so much.